Welcome to Journey Now, a podcast about following Jesus that takes on serious issues without ever taking itself too seriously. Each week, the pastors, staff, and friends of Journey Church in Brentwood, Tennessee gather to catch up, share life together, and laugh a little. Okay, a lot. Maybe too much. But along the way, they also explore what it really means to bring heaven to earth, share Jesus' hospitality, and live cross-shaped lives. Part babble, part Bible, and occasionally even thoughtful and entertaining. This is Journey Now.
We're being somehow punished or disciplined.
Right.
Yeah.
When in fact our prayer could be
Yeah.
responded to in a way that we're just not
Yeah.
expecting or wanting or...
Right. Well, welcome to Journey Now podcast that sits in a very somber moment here. We're discussing some of the questions we got off the text line, but first we're just going to, I know you're waiting for it. You're waiting for it.
Mike's not going to interrupt
He's not going to interrupt
today.
me this morning.
No.
Because he's not here.
He's not here. He's
Kicks him to the curb.
on the way to Ohio.
Ohio.
Can I be the fill-in mic? What do I need to tell you,
what do we
Kevin?
do?
Oh, no.
Did I interrupt you?
No, usually just when I say
You're
welcome.
stunning, Kevin.
There it is.
Kevin, your arms look so good today.
What's with that?
It's a visual podcast.
It's very visual.
Be sure to check it out.
Very visual.
Yeah, you have to comment on everyone's appearance
Yeah.
today.
Whoa. Yeah, Mike usually does.
He does.
Yeah.
How dare you have so much arm showing today? Your arms look so
Right?
good. They're
Did
so
you get a new
distracting.
tattoo?
Not yet.
I know.
Not yet.
Not yet.
That's usually a question that comes up somehow, some way.
Yeah, this is nice. Keep going.
Keep going. So it's Suzie, Kevin, Rob, and Layla. If you don't know any of us, this is us.
Welcome.
Welcome.
This is us.
This is us on the Journey Now podcast. Edwin's here with us. He was a little concerned because both Tim and Mike were out of town, but we're here. Tim is somewhere in California.
VBSing.
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 Yes.
I didn't even know that was a verb. I guess it is.
He's VBSing.
He is
really well right now.
He is. Yes.
Yeah.
Really well. Yeah.
He does it well.
He does it well.
Yeah.
At what point do you age out of VBS?
You're
Depends.
asking the middle-aged youth pastor that question?
Yes,
Dude,
I am.
the shade is so strong.
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
That was good.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
Well, I just want to make sure everybody knows who's talking so that we don't just end up having a conversation without introducing everybody. So Layla, what actually do you do on staff that we drag you into this periodically?
Good question.
Obviously, I'm not a pastor on staff.
Oh my
That was
gosh.
clearly defined as the most important roles here. I'm just a mere worship team administrative
Wow.
assistant.
Wow.
Emphasis on the assistant part.
Wow. That is not what I meant at all.
Is that what they call throwing a little shade?
Yeah,
Okay,
big time.
just
That's
wondering.
not what I meant at all.
Yeah, but for everyone who's curious, I'll be here on Sunday. Slaving away.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
And Suzie, you're going to be speaking on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm
So that
looking
means
forward to
you
that.
need to like rush the stage if I get attacked by someone.
Yeah, I will. I'll
my
be your
gosh.
security guard. I hope that doesn't happen.
Rush the
Jeez.
stage.
Is that
I
an
don't
intrusive
think she was
thought?
in the security training from 4 years ago.
I have no idea how to do anything
So-
security-wise.
Yeah.
But we have a great staff of those people.
Oh, we do.
We really
rolling
do.
We
around.
do.
They're
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
Where are you going Sunday?
I am going to be in Wisconsin.
He keeps asking me if I want him to stay.
Well,
I kind of wonder if
yeah.
like
Do you really want to go? He needs an excuse to stay. Suzie told me to.
I just want you to know that you have an opt out.
I know, you're great.
And we're Lori's my wife's mom passed away this winter, and the family is all getting together. They're calling it a family reunion, but it's kind of, there's a couple of people that have passed. They're all getting together and having a thing on Saturday, so we're going up there
Nice.
to Wisconsin. I'm gonna have dinner with my brother while I'm up there. So, life's good.
Yeah.
Lori's brothers will be there, so it'll be
It's a good.
good to reconnect with them. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
Hopefully a little less rainy there than it is here.
Probably
Yeah,
not.
what is with this rain?
No.
Probably
what?
not.
Really?
Yeah, but that's all right.
Okay. Wisconsin.
It's cooler there,
Does it smell?
like cheese.
Old
Does
cheese?
smell like cheese?
You ever been to Wisconsin?
I have
Never.
actually.
I've never been.
It smells awful.
It's intriguing to me.
Yeah.
There's a lot
It's
of
intriguing.
Dairy,
Yeah.
dairy air.
What
is-
excursions
been
are
to
you going to go
Wisconsin?
on?
No.
There's a
I
Jelly
It's a
Belly
foreign
factory
land.
up there.
oh, there's all kinds of
I went to a
things.
Jelly Belly factory up there and
Yeah.
thought it was like
In
the-
Wisconsin?
Yeah, I thought it was like the factory.
No.
Oh my gosh, this was the most janky experience. Like
It was just a distribution center.
pretty much like like they put you
What
on a
kind
tram.
of distribution?
They put you on a tram, and it's like these are where we house our packages.
So it's a distribution center.
It is, and but they like made these like wood like cut out like sign. It's the weirdest experience. We went
But-
because you get free jelly beans.
Oh, I would have expected it was another reason to drink beer in Wisconsin. So did they serve beer
That would have made the tour better.
Is that where Laverne and Shirley was filmed?
in Milwaukee?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Do you know what that is? I don't
No,
know what that is.
but
You don't know what it is?
no.
Thank you, Edwin.
Laverne and
He's
Shirley?
older than we are.
Do you know Happy Days?
Oh yeah.
It came on right after.
It was. It did, but it was a
We're
spinoff.
talking about TV shows.
Yes.
I thought we were talking about beer.
We were, but they go together. Happy
Sure.
Days, and then the spinoff was Laverne and Shirley. Laverne dated Fonzie. Never mind, it doesn't matter.
They work in a beer factory.
He's the guy with the jacket,
Laverne and
right?
Shirley.
Okay.
He's the
Okay.
guy with the jacket.
Yeah, leather jacket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Henry Winkler.
Yeah.
Come on. You know that jacket is in
iconic.
the
American
Smithsonian.
history.
You know it's in the Smithsonian. The leather jacket that he wore is in the Smithsonian.
Of course it is.
Just saying.
Of all the things to be in the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Is
And
that-
that's where the term "jump the shark" comes from.
Have
You
ever
don't
heard
know the
that?
term "jump
I'm
the
learning
shark"?
so many things.
Don't lie. Is that a real term?
Yes, it's
No,
a
it's-
great
Edwin.
term.
Edwin?
Come on.
Is that
Edwin's verifying, and he's
Just Google
he's
it.
over there laughing.
Google the term "jump,
Jump
the,
the
shark,
shark.
and then you'll use it all the time because
Yeah, they-
I've
Use it in a
literally
sentence.
never heard either one of
Applicable.
you guys use that.
I'd like a
I've used
reference,
it.
please.
Wow.
I use
Wow.
it.
Jump-
Yeah. They
Wow.
jumped the shark.
So basically, Happy
an
Days
over-
had like a run of a lot of
Oh.
seasons.
Oh, it was so good.
And then like they had this one season where the Fonz was water skiing, and he was trying to perform this like crazy jump when he was water skiing, and it was like over sharks. And then that's when the show started going downhill.
Fast.
So now, whenever something is like going downhill, the term is it jumped the shark.
They jumped
Got
the shark.
it.
You know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Like this podcast is probably jumping
From the
shark.
start.
right
We were
now.
jumping the
Might be.
shark.
When we have to explain, jump the shark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've
exactly.
jumped the shark.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So-
All right.
Yes. Redirect. Redirect.
Please.
Talk
Redirect.
about disappointment.
Talk about disappointment. So, did y'all get to hear Mike on Sunday?
Yes.
Edwin, did you get to hear him twice?
He was on vacation.
Oh, good for you.
Ooh.
I get to listen to it today.
You get to listen to it today. Nice. Yes.
He said get to.
I know, I heard. What did I say?
Nothing.
I said.
I mean,
I
have
did-
you? And he said I get to.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Reframing.
Not I have to.
I get it.
You know?
Okay. All right. So the general gist of his he started with a question, and I think his question was very provocative. And the question was, have you ever been disappointed with God, or had an experience where you've gone and you've realized, oh, this doesn't turn out the way I expected to, and so the sermon bounced around in the Bible on different stories with different characters, Moses and
John the Baptist.
John the Baptist,
Mary.
Thank you. Those are the New Testament ones, but there were some Old Testament ones. He used Jeremiah, who had an epic call to ministry, and and somebody actually texted me in and said, "Hey, does Jeremiah's arc of his life end well?"
Nope.
No, he dies in exile.
Yeah.
Still,
He
he
jumped the
probably, and it is that we don't know how he died. He died in exile in Egypt. Probably, people believe he was put to death by the Jews, by his own people. That's not a better arc. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a great way to start this conversation. So with that, the idea behind his message was sometimes it just doesn't, God doesn't perform in the way that we expect him to, or want him to. And so what do we do with that? What do we do with this idea that, God says to Moses, I want you to lead my people out of Egypt and to the promised land, but you don't get to go in, but I'll let you see it. So he goes up on this mountain, he sees the promised land, and he dies there. That's rough.
Yeah.
That feels...
I thought the example of John was really great too.
Okay.
Like, John the Baptist, like sending one of his disciples to go find out if Jesus is actually the Messiah from jail. He's in jail, about to be beheaded. And he's like, do we need to wait for someone else, or what's happening here?
Yeah, because I'm still here in jail.
And then Jesus is like, go back and tell John that the captives have been set free. The
blind see, and lame walk,
and he says like the prisoners are set free, right?
Oh no, I think he doesn't say that.
That's what he does.
Doesn't
say
that.
And
then he sends the guy back to John. Like,
oh no!
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I ate all those locusts for nothing.
I think he did that on purpose.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So
He wanted to. Anyways.
yeah, I thought that was a really very clear and helpful example of.
Yeah, and so again, the prevailing question is, does God always heal? Does he want to heal? And it really collided around his will versus what is his will and what is actually happening in the world. And so teenagers have to be asking this question of...
I mean, the question we always get asked is, why do bad things happen to good people?
Right.
Why is there evil in the world?
Yeah, especially if God is good.
Yeah, if God is all good. And I mean, I don't know if that's unique. That's definitely not unique to teenagers.
No.
No, we get it from adults all the time.
All the time.
I have that question all the time.
Part of that, though, is like...
Yeah, wait a minute.
Part of that, I think, is culture, and like we're raised at a very early age, even in our school systems, right? If you do this, you get this.
Yeah.
Right? If you work hard, you get,
Yeah, which is
rewarded.
another point he made on Sunday. Like, our culture and our faith has been formed by these transactional promises.
Yep.
Right.
Like I was, I don't remember what I was watching, but they were talking about how the purpose gospel is the new prosperity gospel, or at least it was for like my generation.
Like the purpose-driven life?
No, like the idea that we were all created for purpose.
What? It's a fair question.
No, the idea that like, at least growing up in youth group, when I was in youth, like the message that was very central was like we all had a purpose.
Right.
Like, we all had a plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all meant to do something big. And like,
God has a plan for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this prosperity of purpose, this idea that like every single one of us has been created to be special and unique. And then we grow up and we're not. And it's like, what do we do with that?
Yeah. That's what happened to the millennials.
That isn't the message I got growing up.
Yeah, but that is
Not
very...
the message I got growing up.
That is, like, it's interesting to see right now, even culturally, where like this is a rub with people.
Colliding with reality.
But and that's what the culture was too.
Yeah.
Like even outside of the church, it was that same message.
Yeah. I mean, to your point of like purpose-driven life, that's very like same timeline, same idea, right? And so like even myself, it's like I grew up and was told all of these things and have had to kind of deconstruct and be okay with the quiet work.
Right.
Because it's not always...
What's the quiet work?
It's the things not always seen. It's working with 50, youth kids.
Oh, I thought he was going to say 50 plus old people.
That too.
I mean, that too.
I thought that's where he was going.
But it's even the things like look at Sam Barnhart. Like, look at all the things he does.
Please,
Yeah.
do we have to look at Sam Barnhart?
Yeah.
That nobody
guy
sees.
that goes, totally.
That's the quiet work.
quiet work.
Right.
And that's just not always like, it's not always sexy, so to speak.
Oh,
So
okay. Is that your generation as well?
Yeah, I think more so. I don't know if it's my generation or just what I was raised in, but the belief that like God satisfies all of my desires, or God is like the only thing that can satiate or like make me feel whole, and that's just not kind of been, I think I was made to feel more guilt or shame around, like if I don't feel that, then what does that mean about my faith and how I view God? And if I do feel disappointed, like that's probably my fault and not the fault of God.
Okay.
So I think listening to Mike talk on Sunday made me more think about how I think the last few years, especially even being a part of the Journey community, like how am I sort of like separating this view of God that is, I can still view God as comforter, provider, like satisfying, whole, but in the absence of my experience, which is really hard. Because I think like what you were saying, and I don't know if this was captured earlier on, Kevin, but if we're meant to be by the church facilitated in this feeling of God as satisfying, comforter, right? Because it's this view of people. I still struggle with, well, am I pedestaling people over God in that way? Because I experience God through people, but have a harder time saying I experience God as God, because God feels inaccessible in some ways. And I think I've maybe even put some arm's length between God and I, where I'm like, I don't have to blame God if I'm sad or disappointed, because God's not saddening me or disappointing me intentionally. Maybe it's the people that I can blame, because I want to like keep a view of God that still makes him appealing to me. And if I actually allow myself to believe that he's disappointed me or done something intentionally or willed some evil against me, then I can't really maintain that view of him.
Right.
So I don't know how that pertains to my generation's view of God, but that's a personal sort of view of this whole perspective.
Okay.
Like I remember in 1920, like Liv and I were dating. I remember having this conversation with Liv. Like
1920.
Sorry, 1920 years old.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Like
around.
usually
Benjamin
that's a joke.
Button over here.
That's usually a joke directed at me. Do you remember the
capsule.
20s,
I
Kev?
remember being 19 or 20 years old.
Okay.
Back during Happy Days in Fonzieland.
No.
Being sharks.
No, that was a long time ago.
I remember having this, like, the story of Moses being left in the desert. Like, I legitimately had a fear that would be my life.
Yeah.
And telling her, like, I don't want to be Moses left in the desert. I don't want to do something that is going to, essentially affect my entire life to the point where, like, whatever God promised me, I messed it up.
Right.
So it's funny that was part of the example this week, because it was it's like that was a legitimate fear. So
ouch. Yeah.
I'm really comfortable being disappointed with God.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Do you think being disappointed with God says more about us or more about him?
Us. That's how I feel. That it's when I'm just, I get like Layla. I don't want to speak for the masses in this, but my personal feeling when I'm disappointed with God is it's me, because I'm genuinely disappointed. I'm not getting what I want the way I want it.
Right.
I mean, like, our friend Dave, who passed away last year, right? He was diagnosed with ALS in January and he died in June.
That's crazy.
And that's like unheard of, even with ALS. You usually get like 2 to 5 years to live.
Yeah.
And so even people in the ALS community were stunned at how quickly,
it was rapid.
And, we begged God for his healing and believe that God could heal him, still do.
Yeah.
And, he was one of those people where definitely one of those people where no, we need more people like that here,
right?
This side of heaven.
Right.
We don't need less of people like that. I mean, talk about somebody who God used everywhere he went, right?
Yeah.
And so, and we talk about this his wife and I talk about this in the sense of not dismissing any kind of sadness or, we don't know, right? But sometimes I wonder if that was the answer to the prayer,
The quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not how I wanted it answered at all.
Right.
At all. And I still get upset about that, and I still get angry about that. But
Yeah.
it's a very clear and recent example for me on how, sometimes my prayers are not answered in the way that I want them to be.
Correct.
And, I lost one of my best friends. And also, I want to hold out the possibility that God is glorified as much in his death as he is in his life and the way that he died. And, because if God is who he says he is and his ways are what he says they are, then that is true. And I can hold that and my severe anger and disappointment with God at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think God has plenty of room and space for me to be disappointed with him. Moses that wasn't his consequence because he was mad or disappointed with God.
No.
It was more.
There was a lot of things Moses probably.
Yeah.
But what is it, Suzie, in that example that allows you to hold both? Because I think that's what's confusing for me is
Yeah.
That allows what?
her to be able to hold both.
Oh,
this
right.
view of God as like glorified through his death, still worthy of, being.
Yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about this, and he was saying how he doesn't know, he feels like he doesn't have anything left to pray then. Like given everything that was talked about on Sunday, he's like, I don't know how to pray for anything.
Yeah,
you
right.
know? And I think that, well, first of all, I don't think I've always felt this way. I mean, this is a newer thing for me to be able to, and when I say I'm able to hold it, it doesn't mean like I'm happy about any of it.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
But I think again, we've been formed somehow to believe, somewhere in us believes that our prayers are transactional. And they are meant like God's like a vending machine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to put my $1 in, God, and I want that.
Yeah.
And if I get the Skittles instead of the chips, that's not what I wanted,
Sure, Kev.
or if it gets stuck, the thing gets stuck and whatever,
Shake the.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that way. And we also expect that whatever the answer is, quote unquote answer, that it's going to come right away and we're going to see it. Whereas you look at the people that Moses led, they were in the desert wandering for 40 years, they didn't, and a whole generation had to die before they actually got to go into the promised land. So that whole generation, many of them may not have personally sinned against God, but
There's a good chance they did.
Well, yeah, they did. But they for sure did. But I'm saying the reason why that they were all kept in the desert wasn't on the account of you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I need to probably articulate this better.
The reason I'm gathering that because they were in some way disappointed in God or some way the
whole of them were held into account.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so a whole generation had to die, and so that generation didn't get to see the promise fulfilled, but the promise was fulfilled.
Yeah.
Right.
They got to go into the promised land, just not they individuals that expected to.
Just
Two. Yes.
Joshua and Caleb got to go.
Thank God for Joshua and Caleb. We need more of those too.
Yeah.
But so I think that's the thing is we expect it to happen in our timeline and in our way.
Right.
And I think the bigger God gets, the broader those implications are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my view of God has increased in the last several years. And I also think, the way that he died and that he was open to healing, he believed God could heal him, he believed God would heal him. Anybody who was wanting to come and pray over him, whether he knew them or not, whether they shared the same theological understandings or not.
Come on and
he
pray.
was like, come on, go ahead. Like he had some like Eastern Orthodox guy show up and like with the whole garb and everything. And like, like all the things, right? Whatever, if God wants to heal me, he'll heal me is what he said. And also I've been given a terminal diagnosis. And so I want to live these last days as best as I can and equip my family to still trust in the same God after I'm gone and their prayers are not answered. Right. So like that, that was like a first class master class on dying and understanding the goodness and mercy and sovereignty, whatever, of God. So, even with the things happening in the world right now, like I hold so much pain in my body for what's happening right now. And yet it may not turn out the way I think it should or hope it does. In pick whatever we're talking about.
Yeah.
Pick a lane.
Pick a lane that we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not going the way I think it should.
And part of it is that you have family in Tehran.
Yeah.
And
so does Layla.
Yeah, so does Layla. And
which we might be the only church in America that has two people on it. On a podcast.
Maybe in California.
Family in Tehran.
Although there are Iranian churches, they probably do.
They might. Right.
But with that comes you said it, you hold it in your body. There's a little bit of but another one of the questions I got on the text line is, now how do I pray? What do I do with this? Because that's a legitimate question and so if you wrestle with what do I pray, part of praying is trusting the heart of God to do that which is what God wants to do.
Yeah.
But I also believe that without prayer, I don't know how to say this in the moment, because there's a right way to say this and a wrong way to say this, and I don't want to say that God is passive, but without us petitioning on behalf of others, some things just don't happen. Because the prayers of the church are coveted by God. He wants them.
So you're saying God acts or doesn't act based on our prayers?
I don't know if that's true or not, but it feels that way when I read the Bible, because the invitation is they encounter some demon. They go, oh, we can't get this one to come out. We can't. And Jesus comes over and goes, oh, these require prayer. Hold on. There's it's not magical. I'm not saying that. It's not a genie. You don't always get what you pray for, but there is something in the power of the prayers of the saints that is, and it's in Revelation. You begin to see the offerings of prayers. You begin to see the prayer for justice. You begin to see those things unfold, and God is saying, wait, I'm almost there.
Yeah.
And so we're called as elders of the church to pray over the sick, anoint them with oil, and God will do his thing. And so we are faithful to do the prayer. It's an act of faith on our behalf to petition God, pray for what we want, because he invites us to. It's an invitation. But he treats us like his children. He doesn't treat us like we know everything. Like if I gave my kid everything he asked for or she asked for when they were little and didn't know any better, they wouldn't have made it.
Yeah. Well, that's,
they just wouldn't have made it.
When I was talking with my friend yesterday, it was helpful for me to give him the example of his own daughter.
Yeah.
So like the whole point of prayer is relationship with God. I mean, Mike ended on Sunday saying the promise is Jesus. It's not the goods over the grace.
Right. It's not.
The promise is Jesus. Well, what does that mean? It means relationship with Jesus. And so when you think about Addie, you want her to come to you and tell you everything that's on her heart.
Yeah.
Like everything in her, you just want to know everything that's going on in her mind and heart, the good, the bad, the ugly.
That's
right?
a lot. That's Rob's
maybe
6-year-old daughter,
less
7-year-old
than
daughter, 7-year-old daughter.
Yeah. But by you knowing those things, you as a human father get to know her better. God knows our hearts better than we know our own hearts. But Addie gets to receive your love and your attention, and she gets to the more she's able to share with you, the more she will feel like she can trust you and that she's safe with you, right? What if that was the goal of prayer?
Yeah.
And so what if Addie comes to you year after year as she grows, and she comes to you with all her dreams and wishes and angers and frustrations and stuff, and then you're able to say, not this, Addie, but this. She might realign what she wants and thinks because she trusts you, because of the relationship that she's cultivated with you. I feel like the more I'm understanding prayer, the more I believe that's what it is. You know, like, I don't think God wants us to hold anything back from him. Like, that's why I feel fine being disappointed and angry, because he already knows I am.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't have to admit it to, you know, but it's more for me, the pouring out and the honesty before God, because then I can be honest with myself and I can be honest with other people. And my prayer, that's what the prayer, not my will, but your will be done, means to me.
Yeah.
Like, then if it's not what I want, then Lord willing, my heart will be realigned with his, you know,
so I want what he wants.
Yeah. Even if I don't understand it.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm good at it. I'm just saying,
Well,
that's
and part of
what
part of the
try
struggle
and-
then is part of the struggle is this. It's a razor edged sword that we walk with this idea, because the idea is if God really loves me and he wants what is best for me and he is always good, why do all these bad things happen to me, happen to my friends? And what do I do with that? Where is the answer to the question of how do I find hope? How do I find protection? How do I find comfort in the midst of all these things when it doesn't feel like God is exercising all his power for my good?
Right.
And that is the walk of faith. And then you look at the life of Jesus. Then you take a step back and you ask the question, when God walked the planet, how did that work? And we begin to see a life that is played out in such a way that bad things happened to him. Bad things happened to the people around him. People went through suffering, had great difficulty.
And he was disappointed himself. He says on the cross, "Why have you forsaken me?"
Yeah.
And they were disappointed in him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The whole world was disappointed. Even his closest followers were. And so and one of the stories that I don't love it, but it helps me, is when Lazarus dies.
I was just thinking about Lazarus.
And they come to him and say, "Hey, your friend, your really, really good friend is dying. We need to go. We need you. We need your touch. We need you to do the thing you do." That's a song. So anyway, he goes, "Not now."
It's a wild story.
It is. He
could have done so many things.
Yeah, he could have healed them from there. Right. But he doesn't. And he arrives on the scene, and the amount of suffering that's taking place.
Yeah.
His two sisters are suffering. And so they're just glad to see Jesus. Comfort. There's comfort in the presence of Jesus.
Well, but they did say, "If you had been here."
Oh, for sure. Disappointment, right? And that whole experience, as you watch it play out, and you realize, what is the point of that? Why not? Why? Because those people were near and dear to him. They weren't like strangers.
Yeah.
And he wept.
I know. He experienced great disappointment. And this tells you, and this is the exact representation of God. And so something in God feels the full breadth of what it means to suffer.
Yeah.
And what it means to be human.
Human, yeah. That's what I'm
Yes. And I take great comfort in that.
Yeah, because, I mean, why was he crying? Like,
Yeah.
if he knew what he was going to do.
That's why that story's
You
wild.
know?
It's almost like, I don't want to say the point was suffering.
Because Lazarus eventually dies.
But maybe it was. I don't know. It's just such a wild story.
Oh, there's a lot that happens because of that. There was another. Lazarus became another reason to kill Jesus.
Yeah.
We can't have this.
Yeah.
He just raised the guy from the dead, and he's the reason you want to kill the guy that raised him from the dead.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think
that whole story just blows my.
I think that
Power.
I think the thing that's always been interesting to me is how much we conflate goodness with easiness or comfort.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Like it's funny. I was thinking about Addie. Like she has this new thing, right? And we're walking through it, but like it's like, hey, pick up your clothes, put them away, right? And so she'll go do that. And then she'll come back and like she'll realize like one of her electronics is dead, and she will literally flail on the couch, and say, "Why are all these bad things happening to me? Like today is the worst." And I have to
iPad battery is
dead.
Yeah,
it's that. It's I got to pick up my clothes.
Yep.
It's
right.
The worst.
My dog popped.
It's the
her
worst
balloon.
she's ever experienced.
Yeah, but
it's all relative.
But it's like, this is the worst, right? And
Yeah.
the beauty of community, I go, well, it's not actually the worst. Like, let's talk about what's happening.
Right.
And when you were talking about community, I think that's the gift is like, I'm not trying to minimize like mine or even other people's suffering, but there is a beauty that when like I walk in with, say a popped balloon and I'm met with somebody else's,
Bouquet.
What?
Balloon bouquet. Sorry.
But I met with somebody else's.
His disappointment, but it's not a pop balloon. It's, oh, my car just got wrecked.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not to take away, like, I want to be really clear that, like, it's not to take away from my suffering, but I think it's to give it a level of maybe clarity and understanding that, like,
because it's perspective.
Yeah, it's perspective.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of community. And I think, again, as Americans, even as millennials, like, comfort and comfortability and easiness was all promised to us. And so when it doesn't happen, then it must not be good.
Yeah, that's not just millennials.
Well, I can only speak for millennials.
I don't know. I was never promised that.
I was told I could do anything I wanted to do. It was a work hard. Like if you work hard,
yeah.
If you try hard,
if
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow that changed.
The
like
Gen X
with like the
view.
participation trophy, it's like you just have to show up.
Yeah.
You just show up, you'll get all the things.
Right.
What were you told?
It'll make everybody.
Because you're super old.
I am. My dad had a different perspective on life. He didn't want to. He was convinced that I wasn't very smart.
Yeah.
So he set my expectations really low. So he said, you know, and he meant well. He meant well. So I was not told I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I was not told that I was capable.
Yeah.
So it was a different experience than I hear you guys and I'm like, yeah, not my experience. But I'm glad you had that one. It's just a different, then you got different demons that I have to fight. I have different demons I fight than you do.
Yeah, like my struggle is, it's funny, like I'm learning to be disappointed in God. Like,
yeah,
I think my struggle is what I've been told is if something doesn't happen, it's because I didn't do something right. I didn't have enough faith. I didn't do enough.
Right.
Not God's done something wrong.
Right.
And so like part of my work is like, yeah, I think God does disappoint.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to be angry with God.
Yeah.
It's okay to be disappointed in him.
Yeah.
So
that's not just a generational thing though.
No.
That's also
that's such a personal.
But it's also like there's streams of Christianity that believe that way.
For sure. Yeah.
So
yeah.
This has been really great.
Maybe therapeutic.
Good conversation, good fodder.
I would strongly encourage you, if you listen to this and you're not part of a physical community of believers, I do believe that the hands and comfort and the person of Jesus resides in a community of Jesus followers in such a way that they bring comfort and help hold our faith when we can't. And so when we are sitting in the places of despair, when we don't know what to do, it's not that the community knows what to do, but they can hold it with you. And it's easier to get through things when people can hold it with you. Isolation is a soul killer and a faith killer. Just want to encourage you in that. I want to encourage you to seek out a community that will hold it with you. So on that note, try to have a great day. Journey now out.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Journey Now. If for some bizarre reason you liked it, help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing it on your socials. Journey Now is a production of Journey Church in Brentwood, Tennessee. Edwin Rivera III produces the show, and he fixes all the guests' slurping, gum chewing, coughing, and other annoying sounds. Randy Hansen provides technical assistance, even though he denies it. And Grant Opperman edits Journey Now and intervenes when necessary to tell the crew that you can't say that. Special shout out to dear listener Brad Erie and dear YouTube watcher Seth Erie. If there's anyone else who makes it through each week, we're so sorry, but thanks to you too.